That is discipline. Selfish.
No joke. We're legitimate.
Fucking do this, then do it. Do it 100%, because I'm trying to.
We recognize that we are limitless.
You gotta be a champion, become a champion, right? Winning is a habit because we create habits that lead to good execution and success.
Welcome to episode 49 of the Coaches Show. I'm your host, Mike Bianca of the New Orleans Hurricanes. With me, as always, is my friend, Coach Ryan Gray. We are fast approaching the pinnacle of paintball presentation, the World Cup of Paintball, to be held next week in beautiful Kissimmee, Florida, just across the street from the Gaylord Palms Resort. So tonight, our show will be all things NXL World Cup, the stories, the matchups, and our predictions. Our guests tonight are two legendary coaches. You know them, you love them. Live from the break rooms at work, coaches Shane Pestana of the Los Angeles Ironmen and Kevin S.K. Bredthauer of San Diego Dynasty. Tonight's episode is brought to you by Maxed Sportswear. For all your custom paintball goods, get Maxed. New Coaches Show apparel is available now. Have those conversations at World Cup to get your 2025 gear locked in. And BKI, the best knowledge in paintball. If you're watching us on Facebook, please send stars to help support the content. Make sure to like, share, subscribe, and leave comments. Throughout tonight's show, you can send us messages in the chat. When we hit a topic you're interested in, jump in, ask a question, provide, if you want to provide additional information we may not know or missed. We want this show to be a little more interactive than usual. So let's have some fun with it. With that, let's get this party started. By the way, I think it's worth mentioning that, regrettably, we don't have enough people signed up for the Coaches Clinic at World Cup. So we will be canceling the Coaches Clinic Level 2. However, you can look for that material on BKI in the near future. You can sign up at BKI using our promo code CoachShow. Correct, Ryan?
Yep, that's correct.
Yep. Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Good deal.
Yeah,
Tonight's going to be fun. Tonight's going to be fun. And I'm wearing my BKI shirt from when I was 30 pounds heavier. So
so those of you who have signed up, but there's a few that have signed up for the clinic, I'll get you refunded as quickly as possible. Again, we pay to have those clinics at the NXL. And so we need a certain number of people. And I have talked to a few people that really wanted to come. And what I found out is having it on Wednesday morning was a real challenge for a lot of the divisional guys, because that's when they're flying in. So in fact, I talked to 3 different people and they're like, dude, I literally fly in at noon. So we get it. We understand it's challenging. It's tough for us to find a really good time to do that. Maybe next time we'll do it later in the day, and that'll make it easier for you guys. If we want to continue to do it, if not, that's okay too. We'll just put that stuff up on BKI. Yeah. So tonight's show, we're going to do it a little bit different. Hey, Mark, damn, you're up late, my friend.
He is, man.
Yeah, Twiz, you are up late. So with that being said, we're going to interact with you guys a little more tonight in the chat. Hopefully this show is not going to be forever long. We do have a lot of stuff to go over. We're going to talk about the semi-pro story a little bit. I see Christian in the chat. I grabbed some information from your stuff that I was going to give you love for when I get into it. So we're going to talk about the semi-pro story a little bit. We're going to talk about the WNXL story. We're going to obviously dive into the pro series story, and then of course the World Cup tournament. So a lot of stuff to get into tonight. As we have done since we kind of started doing these pre-shows, we are going to bring in our really good friends, Shane Pestana and Kevin Bredthauer, to kind of chop this stuff up with us. Good evening, men.
How's it going, boys?
All right.
Yeah, so let's kind of start with the semi-pro story a little bit. I don't know if you guys have been kind of keeping up with what's happening down there, but it looks like Leverage is running away with this series. It's going to take some really interesting things to happen for Leverage to not win the pro spot. So they have by far the best chance, needing to only secure a win in their quarterfinals to win the pro spot in order for the Sea Dogs to jump them. Sea Dogs are currently sitting in second place, must win the event and hope that Leverage loses in the quarterfinals in order for Wrecking Crew to secure that spot. Who's currently sitting in third place. They would need Leverage to lose every match in the preliminary round, so their seeding going in, because again, they get the bye just like in the Pro Division. The top 4 teams just come right out and get to play on Sunday. So they would need to lose and be the lowest ranked seed going into Sunday, lose their first match, and finish basically 7th or 8th place. And Wrecking Crew would need to win the tournament. And of course, the Sea Dogs would have to stumble as well. So there's a lot that would need to happen in order for Wrecking Crew to win it. So Leverage, they kind of they're in charge of their own destiny there. As long as they win that first quarterfinal match, they win the pro spot.
That's right.
Have you guys had an opportunity to watch them play?
I have. I'll comment first. Leverage been so consistent this season, winning the first event and staying in the top 3 the rest of the season, right? So they've just been so consistent. The Sea Dogs have 2 second-place finishes and have been in the top 8 the other 2 events. So it's within the realm of possibility. Wrecking Crew, listen, these guys stepped up from winning D2 last year, and they haven't disappointed, winning 2 events, but it was that first event that's dragged them down from the point spread, right? I think they got 15th or something like that at the very first event. But, for me, it's a win-win for Wrecking Crew in the fact that they've shown that they're certainly one of the best teams in that division. It's going to be their division to win next year. Sea Dogs have shown some incredible composure all season, but Leverage, just so consistent. I think you're right. I think all they have to do is just win that first match. That's all that matters, and the series is theirs.
Yeah, win the first one on Sunday.
Yeah, I would say the Sea Dogs too have like accelerated their progress because they played Europe too, and I think that's a big deal. And I would say the same thing about Wrecking Crew, just because they practice damage a bunch. Mm-hmm. So I know that helps you. You play people that are better than you, and you get better. That's so right. I like seeing the teams that try to do that have positive effects.
Yeah, I would agree.
Yeah, I watched the semi-pro or the semifinals in Chicago, the semi-pro division, and honestly, it was exciting. The games were really back and forth, real close, hyper aggressive in the snake. I think their transition into the pro division is going to be, it looks like it's going to be Leverage, and they look like the better team out there. I don't think they're going to have any problems playing at this level. Obviously, we've seen it this year with Fit. The few of the other teams over the years have kind of competed at this higher level, and then some have struggled. I think they're going to be fine next year at this level with us. It was good. It was fun to watch.
Yeah, the only thing there's 2 things I want to mention. One, they do have a couple of guys who played pro last year. They've got Ivan Gonzalez, Chris Caputo, who both played with the Bears. So they've got a little bit of pro experience there, which I believe you've got to have a couple of guys when you're playing semi-pro and expecting to go pro who know what that feeling is. The only thing that I can say the big difference between teams like Blast Camp, Paintball Fit, and the Hurricanes for sure, and we've kind of been talking about this since the season started, is they had wars in semi-pro. Yeah. Like they went through not just 1 year of really challenging play, but 3 or 4 years of really grindy semi-pro division where you had 3 or 4 really good teams. Whereas this year, and really even in a couple of those seasons, there were 5 or 7 really good semi-pro teams. And now it's a little watered down. You know what I mean? Like I'm because Shane, I also I went down and watched some of the Sunday games at each one of the events. I've done that, and it looks good. But what I can't figure out is, does it look good because all of the teams are a little less put together without a Paintball Fit and a Blast Camp and a Hurricanes? You know what I mean? Does that make sense? Like, are we watching a level down so it just looks really, really good? So I don't know, right? Like, I hope you're right, and I hope that they can come in and play at a really high level. It's tough to believe that they can, knowing there's no Blast Camp there, there's no Paintball Fit there, there's no Hurricanes, there's no, even Austin Notorious played well in the season they were semi-pro. So it's just really hard to say whether or not they're going to be an Austin Notorious and float around the bottom of the pack, or come out and be a Hurricanes, a Blast Camp, or a Paintball Fit.
Yeah, I think ultimately, though, that we all agree that it's going to be hard to bet against the consistency of Leverage heading into this event. And it does look like Leverage is going to be that next pro team. Now, whether or not they take the spot, that's another question. I don't know anything on that front. I don't know if you guys have any insider information on that, but it's certainly going to make for an interesting next season.
I mean, I would assume they would take the spot.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure.
Yeah.
If you win it, you got to take it. I would think.
You gotta take it.
Know.
I'll warn you now, it's really expensive.
Yeah. Well, and again, but they know that, right? Like
right.
A couple of the guys have been there. I think they have an understanding there. And the other thing I look at too with semi-pro teams is the organization itself. And Mike and I talked about this a little bit in Paris, whereas, when you think about the pro division, you really want organizations, right? Not just a good team that can compete, but a really solid organization that has a great owner, that's not completely player funded, because those things are really, as Mike can attest to, those things are really, really difficult to keep together long term. It's just really, really hard. So, and I don't know enough about Leverage to say whether or not they have all the right pieces long term to keep it going. But it'll be interesting. It'll be a good story.
Absolutely.
Shane, SK, you have any? Somebody just asked, who does Shane coach? Shane coaches the Ironman.
Not really.
Whoa.
Oh, wait, that's Doggy. That's Doggy. Doggy's our 16-year-old that pops in here occasionally. So, yeah, he's learning about paintball.
Gotcha. Okay. It's Shane. Go look up Shane Pestana.
Yeah.
He's been with the Ironman for, I don't know, 55, 60 years, something like that.
At least. Yeah.
Back when
this
paintball was really muskets.
Is it, Shane? This is the 40th year of Ironman.
Yes, and I feel like I've been on it for all 40.
Yeah.
Pretty close.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
I'm aging myself. 91 since I've been with the Ironman. That's when I joined the Ironman. So been around a little bit, So
goodness gracious.
Kind of my whole adult life. Well, kind of. I'm really not an adult still, but I pretend on TV.
I do that too. It's funny. We have something in common.
Oh, of course we do. Yeah. And
man.
Coaching the Ironman is a loose term if you refer to me with Ironman. So it's like it's herding cats.
Leading the Ironman.
Yeah, it's working.
Yeah,
you guys are. I mean, you've had a significantly better season than you've had in the last 2 years. So call it whatever you want. It's working. I think you've got all the right pieces now, and that's. And we'll get into that.
Yep,
we'll get into that. So let's talk a little bit about the WNXL. So it's a much tighter race than semi-pro. All of the top 4 teams,
separated by 7 points.
Yeah,
7 points.
All of the top 4 teams have an opportunity to win the series.
Mm-hmm.
Now the bottom 4 have no chance. But the top 4 teams all have an opportunity to win this. Apologies, my screen completely went away. It's goofy. Do you have it up, Mike?
I do not, but I can tell you who the top 4 teams are.
Yeah, I can do it.
Yeah, It's Heroines, Vibe, High Rollers. What's the third one? Cheetahs. Yeah. My apologies, ladies.
Yeah.
Actually, Femmes Fatale may have an opportunity.
Yeah, I think all top. Well, they're tied, right? So 7 teams could technically have a chance.
Yeah, possibly.
Yep.
And I'm a little biased in the WNXL because I do help the Sirens. They're a local team here in my backyard, and they're kind of right in the mix, just below the top 4 with the Femmes. So I hear a lot about the upper 4 teams that got to crack that egg, and I think them and the Femmes haven't done that yet. So it'll be interesting to see if one of them can do it for the Cup this year, and see if they can make a run, on that Sunday afternoon bracket, because those top 4 teams are legit.
They are, but I think all 4 have chinks in the armor, and we've seen them the last 2 years, So, and I wonder how much of that has to do with the fact that they play 3 events a year as opposed to the 5, and some of them are playing with other teams in between events. So, that could leverage some of that.
Oh, absolutely. And I think knowing kind of being on the inside with the girls up here, the girls up here are all pretty much local. They all stick together. And I think a lot of those other teams are spread out across the nation. And so it's hard to get together for practice. So as we all know, even with our team, it's hard to be consistent when you have that. And if you're not playing every weekend together, it makes it kind of tough. So, and watching them play, man, that division is actually getting really good. It's a lot more competitive, and it gets a little more nastier out there too. So I think it's good for them. It's fun to watch.
Christian, don't put that kind of stress on me. I'm not technologically savvy. Goodness gracious.
Yeah, you sent that to the wrong person.
Yeah, you send that to Ryan. What are you doing?
It's okay. Yeah. And it's a lot. And if you want me to send that to Shane, he I don't even know if he'd know how to open it. Yeah. Shane would just stare at it and be like, Ryan, you guys tell me what this is. Tell me what
Meter's in the chat. Look at this. Goodness gracious. We got a great show going. All right.
Yeah. Hey, Matt, great question. I know that there's been a big push for WNXL to expand to more events. In fact, I know that's something that Anthony and Lori were working on. I still don't know what the decision was there. I do know that there's some financial barriers in the way of expanding it. So I don't really know. We don't have an answer on that yet, but hopefully they do expand it, because I do think it brings something more to the event when the women are there.
Right.
Absolutely.
I agree.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So it looks like the WNXL really could be any of those top 6 teams.
It could be. It really could.
Yeah, with double points. Right.
Double points.
There it is.
Go on a run. Yeah. And I know they have a few extra teams coming for this event also.
2 European teams, I think, right?
So, Belladonna's
Belladonna.
Yeah, because some of them will play at the breakout field. So I know that.
And I believe they did well last year. The Belladonnas did well last year, if I remember correctly. So
did they win they won the Europe version, right?
They did.
I believe they did. Yeah. Yes.
They did.
Awesome.
All right. Well, that's the women. So let's go to the pros. All right. So let's start kind of with the relegation story. So NYX is at the bottom. NYX would need to finish 4 places above Notorious in order to avoid relegation, or 5 spots above Diesel, and Notorious still to fall below. So the relegation story is kind of interesting. I mean, it could there's really kind of 3 teams that are in that picture, with AC Diesel, Austin Notorious, and New York Extreme. But New York Extreme would need to do much better than they have done all year. We'll get into that a little more when we get into the brackets, and it's a damn shame, right? Because NYX, literally has a kind of the best season they've ever had last year, loses some big pieces. Doesn't really have an opportunity to replace those.
And a lot of injuries.
And then
they've been injured a lot.
2 events where they were pretty much everybody was injured.
Yeah.
Like they had 3 guys, that were healthy. Yeah. And I know they picked up Patty kind of before the first or second event because they had a lot of injuries. So it's a lot of there's a lot going on there. We all kind of been keeping up with the story of AC Diesel just because I'm on the show. Who makes some pretty big changes kind of right here at the end of the year going into World Cup. Austin Notorious makes some big pickups going into World Cup, picks up a couple of the guys from the Lucky 15s, but they do lose Pasternak, who I think was a huge player for them all year. So he's not coming to World Cup, just had a child, so congratulations to Maciek and his wife. But they will have, all the other pieces will be there. Archie Barnes will be there. Him and Logan, I hear, have been playing really well together. So with the addition of the Lucky 15 guys, Notorious is really, it looks like making moves, same kind of with AC Diesel, to try to put themselves in a better position to at least get out of that relegation picture. Whereas I don't really see NYX doing, making any moves to try to help themselves.
Right. And once again, Christian, takes the thunder out of what I was going to bring up. having that team, a specific team in that bracket, and we'll talk about it here in a moment, I think that helps Notorious more than it helps NYX. So,
yeah, no, and the reason I didn't bring your question up, Christian, is because we're going to jump into that when we get into the brackets, right? Yeah. So we're kind of giving this overhead view, and then when we get into the brackets, we'll give you a little more micro vision of that. I think Shane has that one, but that is going to be helpful to them, whereas you have, AC Diesel in a bracket with Dynamite, who's a really, really solid team. It's going to make that a little more like that bracket could be really interesting. I'm glad I get to do that one. Yeah, Twiz saying let's go Notorious again with his lucky 15 guys playing with him. Of course,
right.
he's
he
pretty
is all
excited.
UK all day.
That's right. That's right. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about the series winners now, right? For Pro, Legion most likely has it locked up, depending on preliminary seeding. We'll kind of know before we even get into Sunday if Legion wins the series. If they get better than if they're in the top 7, I believe they win the series.
Mm-hmm. So
well, and
they're
already
they have to win one match.
They win one match, and they are so if they're the 3rd seed,
yeah,
they win the series.
That's it.
They earn it. They've been playing well all year.
Yeah. The other thing that would make a difference there too is even if they're the 8th seed, if Scalp and Tauntauns get pulled out, right? So like, let's say Scalp is the 1st seed and then Tauntauns come in and finish 5th. Those 2 teams would then get removed when they do the series rank.
Right.
Right. So now they would even go up further. So it'll be really difficult for Red Legion to not win the series.
Yeah.
Yeah, they've been legit.
Hey, Joel, I don't know who that is.
Yeah,
Florida Jack Boys. I don't know who that is.
I don't know, or maybe he just wanted you to say that live. So
yeah, all right, I did. If that was his goal, congratulations.
Congratulations.
You got me.
Thank you, Sasha. Funny. We appreciate it, man. Lots of Uprising fans in the chat tonight too. So I like all this. This is good. Let's keep it up.
And Uprising's a great story going into World Cup. I don't remember who has their pool, but I looked at it earlier. They're a great story going into World Cup and could create a little bit of drama, which is awesome.
I have.
Yeah. So I'm sure Mike's going to say a lot of really nice things about them.
Of course.
So before we get into the brackets, I want to highlight a couple of things. So the first thing we'll do is we'll talk about the 4 teams who get the bye, and we'll kind of talk about how that scenario works, just so you guys have an understanding of it. I also want to note that when you look at the brackets page on PB Leagues, you're going to see 2 bracket A's.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you go look at the schedule, you're going to see a bracket A that is the 4 teams that have the bye. And then you're going to see a bracket B, C, D, and E, which, by the way, E doesn't exist on the bracket page of PB Leagues. So it's a little confused. SK sends me a message earlier and was like, hey, so am I really doing B or am I really doing this one? So it's a little bit confusing. So when you go into the schedule, there's 5 brackets. When you go look at the brackets on PB Leagues, there's 2 A's. So just keep that in mind. So I'm going to talk about bracket A, but I guess we'll call it A2. Shane's going to talk about bracket B. SK is going to talk about bracket C. And then Mike will close us out with bracket D. But the first thing we'll do is we'll all kind of share in this. We'll talk about that, the 4 teams that get the bye. So Mike, why don't you start with Red Legion?
Sure. I think Red Legion, everyone always asks this question. Hey, how do you think these teams play when they're doing this seeding thing? I'll tell you exactly how Red Legion's going to play for this seeding. They're going to play for the first place seeding. That's all there is to it. They're going to bring their game. They're not going to deviate from that game. And there's nothing you can do about it. So you better pay attention because they're going to run that down your throat, right? They want to play a lot of points as often as they can. And they've got the tools to do it. We've seen it all season. I don't expect to see anything different out of Legion. Obviously, we're going to be making these picks and we're going to be talking about these things without a layout. So we're kind of doing this blind. And I think people need to understand we haven't seen the layout. Layouts do make stories, and they certainly make teams. Some teams, it doesn't matter. Some teams just have all the tools and they just know how these things work. That's what I love about paintball. Paintball, there's so many variables that go into this. Did the paint break? Did you get a bounce? What was the ref call? All these different things that come into the match that determine things. But Legion's been that team that's been able to take all of that and make it work for them. And I think Legion is just the team to watch in that. And what you're going to see in that preliminary seeding is what you're going to see on Sunday.
Yeah, agreed. Yeah, SK, why don't you talk about Scalp, since you were got to see him quite a bit in Europe this year?
Well, I do. Well, the good thing, I do know, obviously, two of the guys they picked up because they play on Breakout with me, and those are probably two of the more consistent Breakout players. Like Dylan has, have I been there for 3 years now? Mm-hmm. So Dylan has improved like dramatically since the first time I got to coach him, and Quentin is excellent and can literally play anywhere on the field. So that gives them some depth and versatility, which I think they do need, especially if it's in Florida. And we all know that those sometimes you just can't play five. Like sometimes you have to play more guys. So, and I do think there's something to be said about playing together and winning together, no matter what it doesn't matter if it's Division II or you just have, that attitude. And I think they obviously have that. And that's not only from this year, it's from the year before too. So from semi-pro in Europe the year before. Obviously they're missing the lawyer or Arturo, but I think with Quentin and then what they already have, they should be okay. I really think Quentin will basically kind of replace that spot. And I think they're going to be fine. I mean, they're like you said on, I think was it the last show, Ryan, that Vince was on?
Yes.
Yeah, Vince was on the last one. Yes.
So I didn't realize they're bringing everybody as well. Like, I do think that matters, having a pit crew and a pit, management system that you're comfortable with and knows what they're doing. So I think that's actually a huge deal. So
especially,
I think
there's going to be that familiarity. Yeah.
So they certainly have put themselves to be very prepared, and and Ryan will obviously help too for all kinds of things. I think the biggest struggle they might have is they're just used to 4 pods. So I think that does change your style and your timing, because things change. Like, as Ryan knows, like after 2 or 3 minutes, the games shift dramatically because everyone's like low on paint. So I think that's the only thing they might struggle with, but I think they'll be fine after, some practices. So
I agree.
Yeah, that was good. Yeah. Shane, how about X Factor?
Well, X Factor's been one of those teams that's been the most consistent all year, and been right at the cusp of, they deserve to have the bye, and they've just been that from top to bottom. Every guy that goes on the field, whether it's the starting 5 or the next couple guys that fill in, there's not a weak link on their team. And so when you have to face them, it's kind of, they make you earn it every single point, and it's kind of they're almost that relentless attack of just grinding you down, and they don't make a lot of mistakes. And so that's why where they're at. They've been really consistent all year. And would it surprise any of us if they've won the event? If they, it's kind of one of those ones that are right there, and a couple breaks here, a couple breaks there, they're taking the event down. They've been so close. He's kind of similar in the same aspect, the way I look at it this year. But by far one of the most consistent teams this year. And we haven't really had to play them this year, but I've watched a lot of them because just scouting the teams and stuff, and they're pretty nasty, man, and they're playing really well as a team. So doesn't surprise me that they're where they're at, and we'll see how they, like you said, layout. But I think they're a team that could play any layout because their brand is very. It's not. I'm not going to say it's vanilla, but what you're going to get. What's coming from them, and then you got to stop them. And when they're so consistent, they lose a point, but then they run up 3 points on you and you watch it, and it's almost effortless the way I look at it. They shoot a couple guys off the break, and they grind you off the field. So, X Factor's legit, man. They're a legit team, and they can easily win this event.
And they're doing it with 6 or 7 guys, right?
Yeah, no,
Like
yeah.
And that's what I was going to add is, they've been doing it with a light roster. And then now, you take Axel out of the mix because he's going to play with the Tauntauns. How does that change the way X Factor's attack may look?
Well, for sure on the snake side, I think if they can make the snake off the break, that helps Billy. Totally it helps Billy, and he's a savage in the snake. When they had Axel in there, they were doing that kind of like 2-prong attack. One would go to the corner and one would come underneath. You saw a lot of that, and it was really hard to read what they were going to do. So it puts more pressure on Meter, I think, to be that that second guy in their snake and be maybe a little more aggressive over there. And I mean, how do they adjust to it? I mean, they'll be fine as far as good. But Axel's, he's a damn good player, and he's gonna, I'm sure they would love to have him. But but like I said, they're gonna be fine. They'll figure it out, and they'll be, and maybe they even go with a shorter roster. They don't even change anything. They say we're just gonna roll without Axel in the mix. Roll 6 guys. So.
Well, they get Billy back, right? So they didn't have Billy at the last event. He comes back. I think he and his wife had a child, so congratulations to them. And so getting Billy back, but Axel going away, different styles, right? But do they really? Are they weaker at that position? Not really, right? Like, not really. Billy's, Billy's still, he's a threat, right? He's dangerous. So he's maybe a little more methodical, a little less ballistic than Axel, but I mean, he's still. I wanted to get your perspective. I don't know that it changes their attack at all, right? Because I do think Meter. I do think Meter at the last event playing behind Axel was amazing. Yes. I thought Meter maybe played his best event all year. I mean, he was just consistently in right behind Axel, cleaning things up. I thought he played outstanding. He was outstanding. So I even thought maybe because it's so familiar with Billy and without Axel, that it could even potentially make them better. Like not that not having Axel would make them better, but not having him there and them having to grind it out together and that familiarity being there with Billy may improve them.
Yeah, very possible. Very possible. I think it puts more pressure on Meter and on Rainey. That if they lose one of them, the other one to fill in that snake and make it happen going down that side.
Well, Rainey's not there. He's on damage.
Oh, he's not. Oh, yeah. Oh, I'm sorry. Yep. You know what? Hey, what team do I coach? Yeah, that's right.
He's not there, coach. Yeah. So you're not the stat guy. Got it. You're not
Holy smokes. Yeah.
So I want to answer a couple of questions really quick. Team injuries, we don't really keep up with those things. Sorry. I don't really know of any injuries. We'll ask the guys here in a second.
Not a lot of teams are going to share that with us anyway.
Totally. They don't really want people to know.
Right.
And then Jonathan, I apologize. I tried to answer your question there, and then Twiz did as well. The Lucky 15s opted out of coming to the World Cup, which we'll get into when we get. And so did Breakout, right? Which we're going to get into when we get in. Yeah, when we get into the brackets, and I'll talk about Dynamite and how they got in. Still 7 on the roster with one player being.
Yeah, I was just responding to verbal.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah, I would agree with whoever said that. Stetzel, I don't know how much he played in Chicago, but he played really well at the practice before. So, and I think, it's a new team for him, so you're not awesome usually right away. It usually takes.
He integrated well.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Timmy's had a couple of good events this year.
Yeah,
he's had a couple.
Excellent.
Sasha says, rumor mill, Rainey back to X. No, I don't think that's going to happen. He's real happy in Tampa.
I don't think so. I ate dinner with him last Wednesday, so I don't think so.
I think he was just making a joke about Shane's name.
I know.
Meter just answered it for it. Timmy played all but 1 to 3 points. So that's what I thought.
Really?
I thought Stetson was out there a lot.
Event. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, because Cody he played on the Dorito side.
That's
He
right.
played in the other snake, and he played well.
Yes,
he played well. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Rainey played well
Oh,
too.
that's-
This was a different team.
Yeah, you guys
Yeah.
play, X Factor played at the same time as us. That's yeah, okay.
Yeah, so I'll take Houston Heat really quick, and I can be really fast on them. Heat has been the most consistent team all year in the Pro Division, literally taking 5th place at every event, I believe, except the last one where they took 6th place. They've been 5th place, 5th place, 5th place, 6th place. Kind of like Shane just mentioned with X Factor, it would not surprise me if Houston Heat wins the tournament. Like they're kind of right there where they have opportunities and just kind of can't get it done late. I do think maybe they need to bring a little more youth in the offseason, but Houston Heat they can play both styles. So they can go up tempo on you. They can pull it back really quickly and play a more slow, methodical style. The layout, I think, is going to be a little bit dependent on how successful and how deep they can continue to go on Sunday. But not terribly. They're not from a consistency perspective, the layout hasn't made a difference for them, but I do think if they have a heavier snake, they do play well. Mm-hmm. So it wouldn't surprise me to see Houston Heat win the event either.
Yeah, it's a murderer's row of talent on that team. So
yeah, totally. And so the way it works for them, just so you guys know, those 4 teams will play each other on Friday and Saturday. So they do not play on Thursday, but they'll play on Friday and Saturday, and then they're automatically in, and their rank will be dependent upon their preliminary play. So they'll get re-ranked when they come out, and then they will play the next round. So not the first round, the Ocho round, the very next round, they will play the teams that come in. So the wild card teams will play, and then they'll come in. The other thing that you're going to see on we'll jump into the brackets now. The other thing you guys will see on PB Leagues right now, it says, and I sent a message about this today, it says 10 teams advance top 2 per bracket plus 2 wildcards. That's incorrect.
Right. No,
so it's only the top 2 teams in each bracket that will advance. So it's not going to be like it usually is, where you have 8 teams and then 2 wildcards. It's literally just the top 2 from each bracket. That's it. So I sent Jason a message. I was like, hey, it's this. And he said, yep. I was like, all right, well, just so you know, it's not what it says. It says something different. All right, so I'll do bracket A really quickly. So first off, these teams have not played each other that many times this season. In fact, only 3 of the 5 teams have played each other at all. I'll start with Chicago Aftershock, currently sitting in 4th place, lost to the Bears in Vegas and Texas, but beat the Hurricanes in Texas. Aftershock just seems like they're getting better and better and better as the season goes on, not just from a placing perspective, but it seems like also the things I see happening on the field, communication-wise specifically, just continue to improve. Kind of that foundational piece, the foundational pieces of Corey Hall, A-Rod, Thomas Kim, have created a very stable kind of backline environment for the attackers, LJ Parrish, Ryan Hoskinson, and Clay Hughes, which really has been a big dose of LJ Parrish and Ryan Hoskinson. Also, Ryan Hoskinson just seems to he just keeps getting better. He just keeps getting better. Kind of came in, I think, 2nd event of the season, started the year with X Factor, really didn't get any opportunities. Moves over to Aftershock and kind of becomes a starter right away. Mm-hmm. And Ryan just keeps getting better, which I'm excited to see because I think he's a lot of fun to watch, and he's a really, really good dude. And I think of the teams in this pool, I believe this is a team that has an opportunity to win the tournament. I think Aftershock could be really dangerous if they're playing at a high level. The New Orleans Hurricanes, currently ranked 8th. They beat the Bears in Texas, but lost to them at Atlantic City. It's had a bit of a rough go since Las Vegas, where they finished 2nd in a very close match against Dynasty. Since then, the Canes have finished 13th, 12th, and 13th. I believe most of us would consider this to be an underperformance, but I expect to see a big turnaround from the Hurricanes going into World Cup. I think everybody's healthy now. Is that right?
That's correct.
Yep. So everybody's healthy
after Vegas. I got everybody back.
Get all the pieces back, so everybody's kind of ready to go. I know Aaron Pate and his family have been dealing with some stuff with the hurricane. Do you expect to have Aaron back as well?
Aaron is back. Jacob Seawright is back. Everybody's back. So,
all right. Well, that makes a big difference. I know Pate is. It's funny, like when you look at Pate, he doesn't look like a whole lot, but good God, he's good, and he's really foundational for your group. So I think that's a big thing. In fact, I had a question mark. Is Pate coming back? Question mark. Is Seawright healthy? Question mark. If those guys are healthy, I think you guys also have an opportunity. Brooklyn Bears, ranked 4th overall, has been the most consistent. Has been mostly consistent, coming off the team's worst finish in Chicago, where they took 20th place. Right away, let Mike Hinman go, which again was only there for one event. The team has been consistent right up until Chicago. I think this is a good group for the Bears because the top 2 teams, they've seen you guys. They've had success with both of you. I think this is a good pool for the Bears. Kind of moving on to AC Diesel, currently sitting at 18th place. They've gotten a little bit better throughout the year, but can't seem to get over the 1-point game hump. Reminds me a little bit of Uprising. Big penalties and discipline problems late in the games have certainly played a huge factor in that. They made 2 changes after Chicago, releasing me as their coach and Cody Mikowski. So we'll see, right? They're kind of mimicking the same changes they made kind of going into the 2023 World Cup, where Mark Johnson and Kyle Spickett will be splitting player coach duties. And honestly, I have no idea what to expect from AC Diesel. I don't know. I think they could be good, but it's just going to totally depend on how that player coaching role thing kind of works. And I do think with the roster being a little more narrow, that will help them just because there'll be less voices. If you're doing a player coach thing and you got 12 guys in the pit, that's really, really hard. It gets a little easier if there's only 8. Ron Holt Dynamite. I could spend a ton of time talking about Dynamite. I'm excited that this group had the opportunity to come over. So as kind of was already mentioned, when they offer up the World Cup spots to the European teams, they start at the top and they work their way down. So the first 3 teams, they're the first to be asked. As soon as they say yes or no, then they begin to go down the list. So the Lucky 15s said, no, thanks, we're good. Breakout Spa said, no, thanks, we're good, which then brings in Ron Holt Dynamite, who finished 5th place in the series in Europe in only their 2nd year as a professional team, which I'll dig into that a little bit more. They not only got better as the year went on, but got significantly better. And I'm not just talking about from a placing perspective, because they had a good placing and then kind of fell off a little bit and then had another good placing. But they just consistently have gotten better. And again, not just from a placing perspective, but what you see on the field, how they were adjusting to mid-game situations. It seems like their coaching got a little bit more methodical and certainly thorough. So this group was formed in 2016 and 2019. 6 of the 8 players were the Norwegian U19 team who won the Nations Cup that year. And then, of course, COVID hits. There's no events in 20 or 21. And then in 2022, the team played semi-pro, took 2nd overall, but were promoted anyway into the pro division in 2023 due to 2 teams dropping out. In 2023, they took 10th overall. And then this year, they have a 4th place finish, a 9th place finish, and then in Paris took 3rd place to finish 5th in the series. As long as the moment doesn't get too big for these kids, they're going to be really good. Like, I hope that they're really, really good, because they are incredibly fun to watch in Europe. SK, you got to see this group a lot this year. What are your thoughts?
They have sweet fans. It's
awesome
probably
fans.
the best fan base there is. Like, let's just be honest.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if it's their moms or family. I don't know what it is, but it's awesome. Like, I love that stuff. Like, some people hate it, but for me, I think it's great. Like, yeah. So, I mean, they have a, I think they've had some pretty good, actually, you should probably say where they're from. Like, I mean, not everyone knows
they're from Norway.
But
yeah, sorry.
It's in
They
Norway.
are from Norway. Yeah.
They play in
Which is
4 feet of
cool.
snow.
If you see their last names, you'll know where they're from.
Yeah, but I don't think any Norway team has been to World Cup. Certainly not at this level that I know of.
Yeah, Menace.
Okay.
Yeah, Oslo Menace. I played with them. In fact, their coach, Dynamite's coach, is a guy I played with in 2004 and 2005 over in Europe. And then Christian and Svein and Stien and all these guys from Menace, and it was Malera before, and then they changed to Menace, I believe, in 2005. But they came over and played World Cup, I believe, in semi-pro, because again, the pro division was locked and they weren't inviting European teams to play in the pro division at that point.
Yeah, I mean, so I enjoy watching them play. Like, they adjust well and they're not afraid to do anything. Like, I enjoy watching them team play. So I think they're going to do fine. I mean, it's probably harder competition than they ever got to really play against, but I think they'll be fine.
I mean, they are a team that basically took down the Tauntauns twice in France.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Which is the Tauntauns they're real.
Oh, yeah.
They're real. So anybody else have thoughts on bracket A, Mike?
Yeah, I mean, you're going to let me talk about it. I'll talk about it, because you don't want to do that. You don't want to give me the microphone about this, because I love talking about this sort of thing. I always look forward to this episode because I get to hear you guys and we get to just share all this stuff. Aftershock, after a rough start to the season, Todd Martinez and Todd Adamson, they've set the tone, and the team responded, right, with a breakout event in Texas, beating Impact, beating us, beating Damage, taking fourth overall there. They followed that up event with a second place finish in Atlantic City, beating Damage, beating Heat, beating Dynasty. X Factor and Dynasty put the kibosh on them in Chicago, but they were still good enough to take the fifth place there. This is a team that has a lot of weapons, and being that team that landed just outside of the top 3 for Champions Cup, they're certainly going to be a favorite heading into this event. So yeah, I think Aftershock's definitely one to watch. I do have to comment on the Hurricanes. I'm really happy we're healthy. I'm really excited. Since going pro, we haven't had a good World Cup performance. However, we have a good handle on the issues now. We're aware of them. We're laser focused coming to this event, and I anticipate a turnaround with the third time being a charm at World Cup. So Brooklyn Bears, I agree with you. 14th in the series, not 4th, but 14th in the series. They have 2 top 10 finishes this season, but they're coming off a disastrous Chicago performance where they won 5 points out of 24 played. But this is a team that has elements to be competitive. They're spunky, they're aggressive, they have talent. Who knows what these guys will bring to this event, but I would imagine they're pretty motivated. I know the Altamore brothers, Sakaguchi, Evan Manners, they're going to do everything they can in their power to make a run at this event. So yeah, I think this is a good bracket for them. I think you're absolutely right. AC Diesel, this is a fascinating story. This is a team that's had potential to be the showstopper. I thought we were going to see it in Chicago. And if you watch their performance on Friday at that event against powerhouses Impact and X Factor, it looked like I was going to be right. We were all talking about it, right? Regrettably, it didn't happen. It was 1-point matches. A lot of things happened, but it's going to be interesting to see how this team works now with Kyle and Mark. And I think Greg Pauly's still there leading the charge. With that amount of talent on the team, it's certainly hard to bet against them, right? Because you keep thinking, well, surely not 3 events in a row, 4 events in a row, 5 events in a row. So I think, who knows? Now, Ron Holt Dynamite. I enjoyed watching these guys play in Europe, and I took in a couple of their matches with you and Kevin, and they show a good mix of risk mitigation and aggression. How they perform against Diesel, which is their first match of the event, I think is going to showcase how I think they're going to do the rest of the event. So I think we're going to get a good idea of what they bring at that event. But I am looking forward to them. They're an exciting team. You got to cheer for them because I just really enjoy it. And you're right, Kevin. Their fans are a lot of fun. So
yeah,
it's going to be a grinder for sure in this one. That's all I got.
Shane, you got anything?
Well, I think you just touched on it with that first match against Diesel with Dynamite. It kind of might dictate how the tournament goes for either team. Dynamite can come in there, and if they can put it on Diesel or be competitive, that might propel them to give them the confidence to compete with any team in this division. If they go out there and get beat down, that helps Diesel's confidence in saying, okay, we fixed some of our problems. and now we're going to start making moves. It could go either way. I think who wins that game is going to propel them to actually do better through the bracket, and I think the other team could implode. Now, I don't know the Dynamite guys, and they might, adjust it. But if Diesel loses to Dynamite, that could be a little rough on them, on their psyche. They've had a lot of changes in the last, 6 weeks, getting rid of their coach and being a player coach. We've all done it, at all different levels. It's hard. It's hard to do, and it's hard. A lot of times it kills the player's game. And I'm kind of curious how that's gonna affect them on the field and off the field. So that's a big match for both teams. How it progresses through the event. Bears kind of that last event. I don't think any of us saw that because they've made Sundays. They've been a force out there. They've always been even the matches they lost, they were in them. And then they kind of had what we had in Atlantic City, just a complete no-show. So what happened to them, that's the results they got. So, well, let's see how they respond to it. I know we practiced them last weekend, and they were playing like they have been playing all year. They didn't play like they did in Chicago, and they were very consistent, very great communication, playing smart. So they can beat anybody, and it wouldn't surprise anybody they beat anybody. But I think that Shock and the Canes are the teams that beat in this bracket. The Canes are healthy, and Shocks prove that they're legit. They threw this team. No, they're absolutely for real. They can, they can go on runs on teams. So it's a tough bracket though. It really is, because there's that you don't know what Diesel's going to do, and you don't know what this Dynamite team's going to do, and actually you don't know what the Bears are going to do.
Right.
We kind of know what the top two teams are going to do. So and any given Sunday, right? So it's going to be. I'm glad I'm not in that bracket, Mr. Bianca. It's a tough one.
Yeah,
it's a tough one. Yeah.
Well, Shane, you're up. Let's talk about bracket B.
Let's talk about B. So we got Damage Fit, Aftermath, Notorious, and Spider Fusion. Let's go with Spider Fusion first. The little knowledge I know of them, South American champs. What an opportunity for these gentlemen to come in and play at this level. And I'm excited for them, but I'm nervous for them because this level of competition is legit, and hopefully they can show up. And whenever you win an event, I think it's contagious, and hopefully they can transfer that into playing at World Cup and be a team that can actually compete with these teams, because this bracket's rough. My only advice would be to give to them is, I heard they're aggressive. How about be hyper aggressive, because you have nothing to lose. Go at these teams with all you got and see what happens. And play to win. You know what I mean? Don't go out there and try to change your game, or play your strengths and go at each one of these teams with the same mindset. I'm going to play to win, and I'm going to see what happens. And I'm hopefully that they can compete at this level. Don't know. I don't know if you guys know any. I've never seen them play. I don't know the things that I've talked to a few people, and that's be aggressive. That's all I got to say. Go play to win and go after them. Notorious, you hear about them making the changes. They bring these guys in. Notorious has been inconsistent. So will adding these, European players, is that going to make them more consistent? Or is it going to make it more cluttered in the pits? And who's going to play? And why is this guy, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to make these changes right before an event. So hopefully they can get some practice in and kind of have their base 5 and their base 7 or 8 players. Because honestly, Notorious is a really good team, but then you watch them play and then they're in it, and the next thing you know, they're down by 3 points, and you're like, what just happened? Is that inconsistency you see through the course of a match and the course of an event. And the problem is the next 3 teams they got to face are all consistent with Aftermath, Fit, and Damage. So it's going to be interesting to see how Notorious, if bringing in these new players helps them. Aftermath, they're in every match they play. They're very consistent. I think they are a team that certain layouts help them. Mm-hmm. And we've talked about some teams that were, that layout, they can kind of play it in each way. not saying that Aftermath won divisional, they can play any layout, but I think certain layouts really cater to their style of play, and it really makes them consistent, makes them a tough out. The problem is I feel that they play in probably two of the more consistent teams with Fit and Damage. Fit's been amazing this year, and it proves that if you can win every event in the semi-pro bracket, it transfers right into winning into the next level. And I think we just saw that, you win a D2, you make the jump up to the semi-pro, you're going to be consistently good. You might not win every event, but you're going to be in the mix, you're going to be in the fight, and that's kind of where Fit has been for us this year. They won some really big games this year. They beat Dynasty last event. They've been twice. Yeah, no, sorry. Yeah, no, but I mean, and that's, for them, those guys, that's a huge, confidence boost for them. So how are they going to, is that going to transfer into this event, into World Cup, or are they get, and I don't think they're going to be affected after talking to those guys and how they are World Cup. These guys know how to win and they know how to play, which makes them so consistent and makes them a really, I mean, they're nasty off the break, man. They shoot a lot of people off the break, and and it's like, we only played them once this year, and they were, we kind of gave them the business of the game we played them. But we were in Dallas, we were kind of hitting on all cylinders the only time we played them. But every game I watched them, they are definitely a legit pro team, and they're a legit Sunday pro team, which is, is a hell of an accomplishment for the first season. Damage. I mean, I'm really shocked that Damage wasn't one of the top three. They got the bye. Because when you watch them play, they're. Oh, and Rainey's on that team, by the way. I don't know if you guys.
There you go.
It might have been the MVP at the last event, but he didn't win. But I thought he should have been.
Yeah.
Rainey's been the whole team. They can win any event at any time. They can beat anybody. Consistency. They, talk about a smart paintball team. Their approach. Joey's got them believing, and they all believe in each other. Earlier in the year, we went out and practiced the Kings out at their facility in Florida, and they were practicing, getting ready for the event. We didn't practice them, but I watched them for a little bit, and how they work and their approach. That is a professional paintball team right there. And if anybody ever has the opportunity just to go watch them practice and see how their approach to it, and you see them over there sitting on Home Depot buckets, having a meeting for a half an hour where everyone else is just playing, and they're talking shop. Then they go back out, and then they go, this is what we learned. And, I wasn't in the meetings, but I can kind of, put one and two together what they're doing. And it just, I mean, they've been a great team for a long time. And honestly, it didn't surprise me they won, and it wouldn't surprise me if they won this event. So obviously I'm going to be picking them to come out of this bracket. So I think Damage is very, very good. And I'm glad we don't have to play them in this bracket also.
Certainly. And coming off a win, right?
And coming off a win, yeah.
They seem to get better, be better right after they win an event. I mean, they're really, really good. So, SK, you got anything to add on bracket B?
I mean, we played Aftermath this weekend. So that was, on Sunday, they beat us up. Like, I think at one point they'd won 7 points in a row. Not great, but at the same time, I don't mind that for us, at least at practice. But for them, that's confidence building. So I think that's good.
Yes, certainly.
I don't have much on the other ones. I do know the two guys playing with FSU are awesome. So the two Luckies guys.
Yeah, they're good.
There.
Yeah, Mike, you got anything to add to bracket B?
Sure. Well, like Shane, I'll start with Spider Fusion. They won the Latin American Championship against 12 other teams. I did pay attention to this event, and honestly, I thought we were going to see Vikings Ragnarok win the event, but Spider Fusion put it on them in the finals, and that's where it mattered. So, I've watched Street Fighters beat the crap out of black belts, so it's the size of the fight in the dog, right? That being said, I do think this team's going to struggle mightily, But to Shane's point, yeah, send it, man, right? Send it and have a ball and go after it and enjoy every moment you're going to have, because this is going to be an experience you're never going to forget. So, and who knows, man? Who knows, right? We call it a puncher's chance. Notorious bringing in the two luckies, getting AJ back. That's how do you frame that? How are they going to respond? I mean, it's obvious they're taking the steps, if you alluded to earlier, in order to get out of that relegation topic. So I think those two luckies are going to add some depth. Aftermath, those guys play a lot of paintball. And to Kevin's point, right, they have moments of brilliance and they have a style. And I think the layout's going to be conducive to their success. Paintball Fit, top 9 first year, going into Cup. Good job. We were in a similar position our first year. Just composure, right? They have strength. These guys win the break. And if they win the break, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a bad day for those, right, on the other end. But, and of course, what needs to be said about Damage at this point? I think you're absolutely right. They have a swagger right now. And whenever Damage is walking around with that swagger, a lot of people are in trouble. But that would be my take on that bracket.
Yeah, I kind of agree with a lot that's been said. The only thing I'll say about Aftermath is, they go from a 4th place finish to 17th, 14th, 14th. They really seem to have struggled as of late and they've been consistent, but it's just been not consistently great. Whereas I think Paintball Fit, and I kind of called it on the last layout. I really felt like if it's a little bit more traditional, where there's a little bit bigger lanes off the break for them, they're going to be really dangerous. So I do think the layout dictates a little bit. The other thing I'll say about Paintball Fit is, Shane, I think you guys are the only team that's really beaten up on them all year. Every other match that they played, even if they've lost, it's been by 1. Like they keep the matches really, really close because they are disciplined. They shoot well off the break. They don't get shot out a lot. They're great gunfighters. So and I wish we were doing the show after the layout. I know we're all traveling next week, but it would have given us such a better insight as to what some of these teams, because again, styles make fights, right? We would have known a little more. But I do think if the layout's conducive, Paintball Fit's they're going to be really dangerous. And agreed with Damage. I mean, I kind of mentioned it, like just coming off a win, Damage is they're going to be really tough. They're going to be really tough. And they're a team that I think has an opportunity to win the tournament. So they're going to be really good. See what's going on in the chat. Verb, yeah, I've been waiting for that Fit Damage game. Same. Yep. I think that's going to be really good because they can both play each other's style to each other and do it really, really well, because they're both really good off the break. They both gunfight really well. I think that's going to be a fantastic match. Notorious Fit for the first time in the pro division. That'll be another really good one. But again, it's going to depend on, as Shane mentioned, and I totally agree, like how quickly can they get the pieces together, get them working together. Otherwise, you're going to end up, they may make things close for a little bit, but then as the match goes on, that's when I think you really see continuity. If there's no continuity, it kind of comes apart, right? So hopefully they can get that together quickly, because I do think that would be a fun match. With the exception of now, it's not really the same Notorious it was back in the semi-pro days.
Right.
Yeah. Any team scrimmage damage? Yeah. So the team scrimmaging damage is going to be Wrecking Crew and Houston Heat. That's right. That's where they'll be this weekend. By the way, they'll be still, if you live in Florida, there's going to be a ton of paintball pro teams down there. I know we're going there. I think Shane's going there. AC Diesel's going there. Revo's going there. Heat's going there. Damage is obviously there. There's going to be so much paintball being played between Velocity. Is it Velocity? Jason's place?
What is it called?
Legacy. Between Legacy Sports Park and Tiki's. There's going to be, the Russians are there. The Tauntauns are going to be there. Dynamite's going to be there. There's going to be so much paintball being played between Legacy and Tiki's this weekend. If you live in or around Florida and you want to see great paintball this weekend, go to one of those places. You're going to see lots of great pro teams.
That's right.
Tons of paintball being played. All right, SK, bracket C. Give it to us.
So NYX is kind of like makes me sad, like because I feel like they put like so much effort and for lots of years, and just like everything went wrong for them this year. Like it sucks. Like it's just like they lost Corey. Was that the only person they actually lost this? I think that's it, right?
Yeah. Well, and Will Hennessy.
And then
but that
Will
was
left in the middle of the year.
Yeah, the middle of the year. But
but I mean, losing a piece like Corey is
no, it's a big deal. But then having like, you know, I know Josh was hurt in Vegas, and so was CJ, and I think so. I don't know if Pat was too. I think Pat might have been too. So it just kind of sucks. Like they just have one bad year, and then you're like probably out unless they. What did you say? They have to beat them by 4.
You have to be 4 places above Austin Notorious or 5 places above Diesel with and Austin Notorious. So
yeah, and both. Jeez, that's I mean, so they'd have to make Sunday and then hope for the best, basically. Yeah. So I don't really have much more than on them. ML Kings, I feel like even though like at the beginning of the year, I thought they'd got beat up really bad. Like it was pretty bad scores too. I think that's correct, right? And then they've slowly gotten closer and closer. So they've improved, even though the results don't exactly show it. It's about like their point margins in games have certainly improved a lot. And it makes sense because I'm sure Kyle has a lot to do with that, but I'm sure it's not only Kyle, but he helps a lot. So, I mean, I'm not really sure like on them on how they'll do, but the Ironmen have been up and down like a lot. Like I mean, I don't understand it. It's like I was like in Texas, I was like, holy crap, they're playing so well, and then like the next event, they got last place, and I'm like, what the heck happened? What, that team wasn't the team that
yesterday.
played us.
The next day.
Yesterday.
What happened? I was like, what was that?
Yeah.
And then and then they made Sunday here in Chicago. So like I guess it depends on what team shows up. Like I mean, and that's on chain, I think. I mean, but I mean they certainly have the ability to make it out of this bracket. It's just it depends on where what team shows up. Infamous like really surprised me last event because they had everybody that's hurt last event. Like I think they only had like 6 guys, maybe like, and then they beat us. Like I was like, what the heck? I was like, and then I was just so surprised by that. And they played really, really well. Like so, but they've also been kind of up and down as well. So they're in the same boat kind of as Ironman, in my opinion. Like, one tournament they do well and the next tournament they don't, which kind of makes sense why they're technically tied with Ironman in the series. Mm-hmm. So it's kind of the same thing for me. I don't know injury-wise how they are. They're not like Mike and I's team where it's the whole team is questionable because we're all so old. Like I would, if they had me fill out one of those IR reports, I would just say questionable every single person. I'd never know. Like, and I don't want to jinx anyone, but I hope everyone's healthy. But I have no idea. I don't write any names down until I show up at practice. Like I don't, because I'm like, I'm not even going to bother until I know. So
I love it. I love it.
That's good stuff. Impact is, I think, has certainly. I mean, they obviously had some changes and injuries over the year, but like they've started to like kind of round into form. I think, like I think with Mikey playing there, and then like Dalton and Lil B just got married. So I mean, I think they're in really good shape, and I mean, I think this bracket is perfect for them to come out of because I just think their consistency is what's going to really help them against all these teams that really haven't been consistent. So. Yeah. I don't have a whole lot else other than that. I don't.
Okay. All right.
There you go.
I'll hop in there if I can. Yeah. Let's New York Extreme. Sure. Yeah. It's our show. We had All four of us. I mean, you three professionals and me. So we had the privilege to practice with NYX a few weekends back. And these guys are working on the things they need to work on, right? Rich and Dan are holding the guys to a standard that this season they haven't quite risen to yet, but you can tell that, they're really coming after, they're putting the work. I mean, but CJ Cantor, Pat Kraft, Jerry Caro, Thomas Taylor, Josh Taylor, they have a roster of players who are all playmakers. Unfortunately, one guy doesn't win the match. If they can figure out how to execute together and make it out of prelims, it'll make for an incredibly exciting World Cup. Honestly, if I'm NYX, I'm playing like every match is the finals, right? Getting out of making Sunday's the goal. So every match is the only match that matters. So I think it's going to be exciting to watch them and see how they respond after this season, now, especially now that they have everyone that's healthy. The Kings, I can't say enough good things about Kyle Berry. I got to know him a little bit better over in France. I really like William Donaldson, Jackson Blue, Elias Rodriguez. They made Sunday in Texas, but the rest of their showings have been disappointing. And I'm sure Charlie and crew feel that way as well. So who knows what they're going to bring? I know they're working hard. So we'll see. It should be exciting. I think it's one of those things where it's a layout aspect. Here we go. Ironmen and Infamous. Ironmen and Infamous are tied for 11th. Both have had last place finishes this season, but the men broke into the top 4 with the 3rd place in Texas. Infamous finished one spot behind the Ironmen at this last event, both losing in the Ochos. I feel like the Ironmen have the slight edge in this situation over Infamous. It's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Impact. Look, to your point, right? Mikey, Dalton, don't sleep on my boy Zupa, great player. I think they are in their stride, and Impact's one of those teams that, man, when it comes to World Cup, they're bringing it. They're 6th in the series right now. I think this bracket is very good for Impact. So I think that's going to be one of the teams to watch, certainly.
Yeah. Shane?
I don't understand why NYX is in trouble, because whenever we play them, they play great, man. And I watch them this year, and we talked about the injuries, and we talked about it. Just like you said, it's a sad. I feel bad for those guys because they do work so hard and they do have so much talent, and it's just I don't get it. But that just shows you how competitive this division is now. The parity in the pro division makes it really, really, it's difficult, and you have a couple bad events or, a roster full of guys hurt, and next thing you know, you're in trouble. You look up and you're like, what just happened? And it kind of flew by. I played with Jerry last weekend, and he's dynamic, man.
Yeah.
And like you said, it can't be just individuals, but, when you got players like that on your team, how are they in trouble? I would love to see them not get relegated and make a run that's a bit and see what happens. But that means another good team's going to be in trouble. So, we'll see. The Kings, we're playing in this bracket, so I'm not going to go into too much detail. You guys are all correct. The three of us, the Kings and Infamous, have been inconsistent all year. The roller coaster ride of what's happened. And I've had so many people ask me what happened in Atlantic City. I still don't know what happened with us. It's just one of those ones. It was just, if it was going to go wrong, it went wrong, and holy smokes, it went wrong. We didn't play well. In Dallas, I don't make excuses. I really wish the rain didn't happen because we were rolling in Dallas.
Oh yeah.
The rain, the paintball gods and the weather gods did not like us when it rained because our paint was phenomenal. We were crushing people off the break. And it just, and then we go into the next event and we played okay. And, for the Dallas thing, because the layout was good for us, but I don't know what happened. And Infamous is just, you know what you get with them. They can beat anybody, and Impact's Impact. They've been good for a long time, and they're definitely a tough out. So, I agree with you. Impact's got to be licking their chops with this bracket, but in the same breath, I think all 4 teams can put it on them in this bracket, which,
agreed.
And I think they know that too. They don't take anybody lightly. They're legit. They're a real team. So, but we'll be ready. we're going to be practicing Revo and Diesel and Tiki's this weekend. So starting Friday, so we'll be out there and we'll put in the work to do whatever it takes to be ready to roll.
Excellent.
So we'll see.
Yeah, the other thing I want to point out to the listeners, this bracket is the only one that doesn't have an international team. So all the other pools, which we'll get into the last one in a second, which I think has the most difficult international team that's showing up, maybe with the exception of Scalp. But certainly of the teams that are in the 20-team pool, this is the most difficult. Will be in the next one. But yeah, NYX, like one of the big things I've noticed about them is it doesn't seem like when they lost Corey Hall and then Josh got hurt, it really looked like they struggled with those foundational pieces in the 2-3 areas. And the ones would kind of get up and try to do things. And then there was no one kind of right there to help close things out and clean things up. And I still think Josh, missing an event and then coming in is still, especially certainly at the last event, you could tell wasn't really back in his groove yet. I think if Josh is back in his groove and the other guys around him are playing well, I think Cantor always plays pretty well. Certainly Pat Kraft is a great player. They've got the pieces that they could do some things. I do think that they have a really light roster, and that's going to make it tough. I think some of the pieces they've added are like some D4, D3 pieces, which are not going to be helpful this season. There's a big question mark around NYX. If they can play like we know they can play, they could be tough. If they show up to the event playing well, and again, play like they have nothing to lose because literally all they have to lose is everything. So if they play that way, they could be a really difficult team. ML Kings, they just haven't been good enough to get beyond the good teams, period. They'll kind of beat a team in the bracket that they're supposed to beat. I think they beat Paintball Fit at the last event and then dropped all the rest of their matches. Did play that first match pretty well, but then the rest of them, I think they were in maybe a tight one with you guys, SK, that ended up not going their way, I think, late in the match. Yeah. You guys put it right at the end, but just don't seem to have enough to get over the good teams. But again, I think they've got good pieces. It's just whether or not it just doesn't seem like there's a lot of cohesion there. And again, I'm not around them a lot, but it seems like 3 or 4 of the guys kind of understand the purpose, and then maybe the rest don't. Infamous is like they've just been like the wild child this year. I think I picked them every event but one. I picked them to make it, and I think they only gave me one of my picks. So it's going to be really hard to pick them on this one. But yeah, you guys, I mean, Ironman and them, you guys are so close to each other. It's kind of anybody's game there, just again, because you guys have both been incredibly inconsistent. And Infamous, for totally different reasons than you, Infamous just doesn't seem like they can keep more than 6 guys. It seems like Jonah's had things going on and other guys have had things going. I mean, it seems like every time they show up to an event, they're supposed to have 8 and they have 6. It's wild, whereas you guys, Shane, I think is still just getting it all together and grooving. I mean, 1 year is, especially in this pro division, how nasty it is. I want to add this too. There's only 3 teams in the pro division who've made every Sunday. That's it. There's 3 of the 20 teams who've made every Sunday. That's it. So I don't know that I do know we've never had a pro division like this. Never. Mm-hmm. So new teams, and basically you guys are a new team, even though you have pieces that have played together, you're basically a new team. So doing what you're trying to do in the first year, you're kind of supposed to be inconsistent. You're supposed to be. I will say this about Impact. I stood right outside of their pit in one of their matches at the 2 of their matches at the last event, and listening to the way that they're communicating in the pit and the amount of trust that they have in one another and the conversations they're having. I also was right outside of their pit in event 2. Yeah. Where they did not play well. And it was a completely different pit. If I could have had Dave Baines mic'd up in that second event and then had him mic'd up at the last event, so you could hear how completely different it was and the conversations that were happening inside of the pit in between points, and the accountability and the way that the players were holding each other accountability, the language that they were using, how they approach one another. I mean, it was as professional as it gets. It was just very, very clean. Everything sounded right. I think if Impact comes into this event like that, they're going to be incredibly dangerous. They're another team I believe could really do something at this event. So that's my 2 cents.
Well said.
Mike, you want to clean us up with bracket D?
Certainly. I'll just go ahead and get the elephant out of the room. Let's talk about San Diego Dynasty while Kevin's on the phone. Currently sitting in 7th place, just ahead of the Hurricanes. Let's talk about the past 5 World Cups from Dynasty. 2019, they took 5th, but they were undefeated in the prelims. 2020, first place, beating X Factor in the finals. 2021, first place, beating X Factor again in the finals. By the way, if you haven't seen that match, please go watch it. It's an incredible match.
Great match.
2022, another first, beating Damage decisively in the finals. 2023, who can forget that incredible game between them and Impact, with Dynasty once again coming out on top for another first place. I don't care that they didn't make Sunday 2 events this year. They're always going to be a threat. They're going to be a problem. And they always seem to bring it at World Cup. And I don't expect it to be any different this year. They have a tough bracket, but I have to put Dynasty, certainly as one of the favorites in this bracket. Baltimore Revo underperformed at Chicago after making 3 straight Sundays, currently setting in 10th for the season, I believe. But let's do the same thing. Let's look at Revo's performance the last few World Cups. Right. What's this? I hear.
I'm looking at the chat, and you're talking about Vic, and yes, you're right.
Yes, 100%.
Redefine.
That's fantastic.
I think Christian just had him on his show.
Yeah, exactly.
Right. Yeah. Okay, where I was Revo, right? So they haven't. Let's do the same thing with Revo's performance in the last few World Cups. I realize they've had changes in the roster and etc. But I've been talking about Revo up as the sleeper all year, and I've been right 3 out of the 4 times. That's a 75% average, so not too shabby by the non-professional here. 2019 top 10 at Cup, 2020 top 10 at Cup, 2021 top 10 at Cup, 2022 top 10 at Cup. But last year they were top 4 at Cup. You couple this with the majority of their performances this season. I think this goes to show that Mike Jeffrey and his staff know how to extract performance out of their crew, right? And this is a roster, I said at the beginning of the year, you have to respect. There is a methodical intelligence to these guys. Devin Stewart, Elliot Weaver, Ben Carroll, Caleb Abel, Clint Moore, and now they've added Cody Mikowski. This is a thinking man's paintball team. So they're going to be certainly one to watch. Blast Camp. Look, say what you want, but let's be honest. Who would have thought Blast Camp, any of us would have called Blast Camp being in the top 15 this season? It goes to show you that the game is academic on a lot of fronts, and these are some smart guys. They make Sunday their second event, their first year in pro. They beat Heat last event in Chicago, showing good composure. From what I can tell, they have the weapons, right? They put in the work, and they choose smart sparring partners. I hear they get to bang against some of the best all the time. It'll be interesting to see how they handle this grind of a bracket, right? It's big boy time. Seattle Uprising. I've said it before. I'll say it again. I'm a fan of this team since they beat my team in semi-pro finals in Dallas 2015 in overtime. We've all said it before. This is a team that could be a giant killer, but likes to stub their toe, right? They haven't made a Sunday since Cup 2022. They did it last event in Chicago after a 2-year dry spell. They beat the Bears. They took Damage deep, losing by 1. Yeah. They beat Blast Camp and kept it close with Heat. They lost to Legion, which, we lost to Legion, which propelled them into Sunday. But they go on to beat the Ironmen in the Ochos. And then in the quarters, they take Damage deep again. Another 1-point game. The coaching staff over there with Tyler Mashad, Aaron Ormrod and Scott Knight. I think Scott Knight's on there. Along
Dusty.
With the addition of, okay.
Dusty Court.
Dusty, okay. Along with, Nate Schroeder coming over from Infamous, right? And I'd be remiss if I didn't mention Meterman. That guy He added a level-headed attack to their snake side last event that has been missing, and it was just incredible to watch. I was really impressed. Anyway, they seem to be on the right trajectory, but we've said that before, right? The question is, can they keep the momentum? So that's going to be the question.
Totally.
Toulouse Tontons. I don't know why I said that in an accent. I make one trip to France. Anyway, my apologies if I butchered that. I just watched episode 2 of their documentary that's out right now. Shout out to my man, George Fava, by the way, who did an incredible job with this. He also did the Hurricanes documentary, Force of Nature. So anyway, this will be an interesting watch. Second place in the European NXL series, right behind Scalp, right? They have the weapons. Their last match against Dynasty at World Cup was one for the books. Kevin and I were just talking about in the green room before this. If you haven't watched that match, I thoroughly recommend that one. Okay, that's a good one to watch. Coach Pascal, is it Hauser? I don't know. I apologize, Pascal, but he intrigues me greatly. If you watch the documentary, you're going to see why. He has a very unique approach to coaching the Tauntauns, which, when all is said and done, is a testament to the entire program, really. I think running 7 guys at the event, playing lots of points, will either make them really good or possibly hurt them. I think it will be the former. But Tauntauns, powerful team, one to certainly watch in this bracket. So, yeah, that's what I got.
That's really good. Shane, you got anything to add to that one?
Well, Uprising, we practiced Uprising Thursday before the event in Chicago. And when we practiced them, I was like, I went back and forth, but I was thinking to myself, you know what? I can see why they're inconsistent. And then as the tournament went on, they were getting better and better and better. And then we faced them Sunday morning in the Ochos. And honestly, they dominated us in that game. They dictated the pace. They controlled the narrative the whole game. I felt like we were playing on our heels all the time. And then when we, now we're down by 2 points and we have 4 minutes left in the game, and now they're even in more control. Now we got to go at them. So shows more consistency. Now, like you said, let's see what they'll do. I picked Blast Camp to make Sunday at the last event because we practiced them, and I see how hard they work, how the level of teamwork that they have together and that bond that they have, you see with each other. That team's on the rise, and they're not going anywhere anytime soon. As far as like going away, I think they're going to only get better and better. Revo, like you said, that's a thinking man's team. Their back line's very smart, knows how to close out games. They didn't have a good event. The only game they won last event was against us. We kind of came into it flat. They had nothing to lose. They were already out, and they kind of beat us down, I'll be honest with you. So it wasn't a good way for us to go into Sunday, and it kind of transferred into Uprising match for us. So with Revo, they had a good run until last event. So it's, there's that inconsistency of those teams in the middle of the pack in this pro division, us, Infamous, them. You can kind of, the Bears, all of us in that mosh of the middle of the thing, we're all inconsistent. So where are they going to be? It's Dynasty. Dynasty did not play well at the last event. They really did not play well. And if you ask Stadium, they'd probably tell you the same thing. But it is World Cup. It is Dynasty. And none of us would be surprised. And I've said that on a few of the teams out there if they went on a run. Right. Because they just know how to win. Those guys are veterans. They know how to win. I would imagine they're going to be a little angry the way the last event went for them. And, I think that for them, those first couple matches, I wouldn't say the first match for them is so important because whether they win or lose, but I think the first couple matches is going to dictate how their tournament goes. And of course, you don't want them to sneak in, but I don't think they're going to have to play where they go 3-1 or 4-0 to have a force to go on the run, to have that swagger and the confidence that Dynasty always has. The way I see it. And the Tauntauns, they're legit. They would be a Sunday team if they played every event over here. Mm-hmm. I feel. So, that's a tough out, and that's what I got to say about them. I think that all the brackets are tough in this division, or in our group. But I think this is definitely a tough bracket.
Yeah, I think this might be the toughest one. It's going to kind of depend on Blast Camp and Uprising, but this could be the most challenging bracket. Again, because the Tauntauns, we know who they are. We know they're legit. We don't get to see them a lot, so I think that helps them a little bit too. This whole bracket, though, again, like Revlo has been very consistent up until the last event. Blast Camp has also been pretty consistent. I think I did call, by the way, Mike. I called them 15th at the beginning of the year. I said I think they'll be somewhere between 14 and 16.
You did.
So Blast Camp's kind of doing what I thought they would do. Uprising, again, Uprising could be the story. If Uprising can figure out, because there's only going to be 2 teams coming out of each pool, you got to be 3-1. Period. You got to be 3-1, which means when we look at these things and we begin to make our picks, we're picking teams that we believe maybe they're going to lose to the team that's going to come out first, but they got to be able to beat everybody else, right? Mm-hmm. And that's where I think Uprising in this pool could be a little bit difficult, just because, again, you guys have said this, and I'll just reiterate it. Dynasty at World Cup is different. They just look different. It seems like Dynasty comes into World Cup with the same type of swagger that Damage went into the last event with. They come out 0.1, and it looks like they know they're going to win the tournament. So if Dynasty comes in with that kind of swagger, we could be looking at another, Dynasty event. But Uprising could, throw a wrench in that, and certainly the Tauntauns could. The Tauntaun Dynasty battles over the years have been fantastic paintball. They've been some of the best matches we get at World Cup. Certainly, that one from last year, I thought that was the best match of the tournament.
I do too.
Yeah. I mean, it was the best match of the whole event. Maybe we should go back and play that one in the off season. It was a lot of fun. So I think in this pool, if Dynasty is Dynasty, I think it's, you got to look at them being the first one out. The second one's going to be the toughie, because it could be the Tauntauns, right? Now, the Tauntauns have had some challenges with some teams in Europe that they shouldn't, Dynamite being one of them. To be a real superior team, you can't struggle with teams like Dynamite. You got to be better than that. So we'll see. Now, again, I do believe the Tauntauns will come over here with a little bit of chip on their shoulder. I also know they picked up Jonathan from Carnage, who's, again, one of my favorite guys. So he's going to be over here playing with them. So they're gonna be deep, and they'll be really, really good.
I think it's important to say that obviously Axel and Ugo are going to play with them, like, even though other teams.
Yeah, I kind of mentioned that when we were talking about it. Yeah, we were talking about X Factor earlier. Yeah. Axel will play with the Tauntauns. So, yeah, Marcus, Tauntauns will be the most difficult bracket because Tauntaun. That's right. Yeah, the Tauntauns make it the most difficult bracket. Yeah, they do. Yeah, so that's kind of my thoughts on D. So let's pick them. 1, 2. Okay.
Shouldn't Mike have to go first since is he winning? He's winning, right?
He's winning. Mike, you got to go first.
I got to go first?
Yeah,
you're winning. Just so everybody knows, right now, our year score for our pick'ems is Mike is 26. And all 3 of the rest of us are 25. So this is going to be the deal right here. So,
oh my goodness. Okay. All right. Well, I'm going to pick Aftershock and Us. Right. I could go into a long detail as to why, but we've already done that. Bracket B. I'm picking Damage. I'm waffling between Fit and Notorious. And it's a hard call without seeing the layout, because I think Notorious can be dangerous with the right layout, but I think Fit will be absolutely really dangerous with the right layout. I'm gonna err on the side of caution, and I'm gonna pick Fit. So I'm gonna say Damage and Fit.
That's lame.
Totally. Why? I'll tell you what. I'll tell you what.
Now
If you guys,
Shane would do? No, Shane wouldn't do that.
I know because Shane's a gambler. I'm not.
I know.
So excited.
I tell you what. I may change that pick after you guys go and come back because if you all pick that, I'll come back and
This
do
is
it.
Oh no, this
Locking it in.
Locking it in. Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna pick Fit.
Okay.
Although I am really excited to see what Notorious does. I really do. I really like a lot of those players. I do think it's going to be exciting to watch. I'm interested in seeing that integration of the Luckies, but I just think Fit is in a good spot. Bracket C. All right. So I'm picking Impact, and I was waffling between Ironman and Infamous actually, but I'm giving the nod to the Ironman because I do think you guys are in a better spot right now. And you do have a couple of elements that I think will be game changers here. So Impact and Ironman. And then for D, which is the bracket that I covered, it's going to be Dynasty and Tauntauns.
All right.
Damn it. No,
I was that close. I was that close to going Revo. I really was, but I'm going to go Tauntauns. So.
All right. Who wants to go next?
Can I have Joey pick for me?
Nope.
Well, Joey did get you those big numbers.
Oh no, Joey! Shout out to Joey Blue. The only reason why I'm even close to being in this match. So I'll go. I'll go Shocking Canes at a bracket A. I think that's they're definitely the teams to beat. Yeah, that is tough. I was thinking I'll go Damage and Fit. I'm going to stay with you on that. Yeah, I can't take the same ones as you because I can't catch you if I don't gamble.
Right.
That's right. That's why I'm glad I kind of went first now. So
yeah, you went totally chalk on me right now. You know what? Just because I'm tied with them, I'm going to take us at Infamous.
Ooh, I like it.
Well, I got to take a gamble. I got to take a gamble. Yeah. It's really smart. It's really smart of me to piss off the best team in our bracket and not pick them. But you know what?
They don't watch this show.
Yeah, well, they should. Yeah. And then, so I don't want to piss off the Dinobots because they're so good and they love World Cup. And so I'm going to go Dynasty. Whew. Damn, that's tough.
Yeah.
You know what? I'm going to go Dynasty and Rebel.
It's a good pick.
You know what?
I think it's a good pick.
I'm going to go Dynasty and Rebel. I mean, we're all Tauntaun's got to come over and play with us. I know, and if they win, if they come out of the bracket winning the bracket, it wouldn't surprise me. But you know what? I got to take a gamble. I'm not playing to tie you. I'm playing to win this thing against you. So
there you go. There you go. Yeah.
I got to take two of them.
SK.
So I will take Shock and Diesel.
I knew you were going to do it.
No sense.
You were going to do it.
And like Shane said, you got to try to win, right?
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
I will take Aftermath and Damage.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
They're gonna come through with me one time, just one time. They're gonna do great.
I like it.
I'm laughing because I have that. Go ahead.
What, you were gonna pick them too?
No, I have them. Like I've put mine in here and left them alone.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm gonna pick Iron Man and Impact, and then Tauntauns and Dynasty.
Okay.
All right, Ryan, you got to say it for the record so everyone.
I will.
Okay.
All right. I have Shock Canes, Damage Aftermath, Impact Infamous,
Nice.
Dynasty Tauntauns.
Ooh, it's going to be close, boys. This is going to be razor thin.
Hey, Ryan, can we do a bonus though? Because if people are tied,
I was just about to say.
I didn't even talk about.
I was just about to say because they're the way it has lined. Again, that's why I was laughing.
Right.
Because of the way it has lined up, we could have a tie.
Right.
So, do we want to pick a winner?
Or how about pick who wins the other bracket?
Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go.
all right. Yeah, I'm good with that.
What? Yeah. Well, all four of us would have to pick a different team. So who gets to pick first?
That's why I say we should pick the winner.
Yeah.
Because if
Oh,
you pick the winner,
Yeah.
the chance of all 4 of us picking the same team that's going to win the tournament is really slim.
Yeah.
Was anyone not going to pick their own team?
Exactly.
And then
I'm
we
taking-
all
Just do it that way. That's fine.
Yeah,
That's the
yeah,
Then we all
tiebreaker.
lose.
Yeah, I'm taking Ironman. So
Yeah, no, I mean, like, I'd like, you know how much shit I would get if I picked someone else? Like, I mean,
good
like,
point.
yeah, I can't. And I know, yeah, Mike does that or Shane. Like, you're
Yeah.
All
the
right.
only one that's
So
kind of like, you know, Ryan could get away with it, maybe.
I
Just be like,
could.
You
They're
could
not
with
like
Scalp, right? With Scalp. But
Yeah, but I
I'll
mean,
be honest, I've been feeling it, boys. I feel like we're gonna shock a lot of people at this one. So
I want to stay too because I just saw Casey Harris is in here. Just so you know, I really wanted to pick Paintball Fit, but I have to pick different teams so I can try to win this thing. So I need you guys, even though I really like you, Casey, I really don't want you guys to play well so I can win this thing.
that's right.
All right, so let's pick the other. So bracket AA, let's pick that one.
hey,
Okay.
Bianca, you're up.
what are we picking, though? Like, what order they
You
go
said
in?
who is who's? I think we should pick 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then
Yeah,
whoever's right. Yeah. So who's going to be the first, second, third, and fourth seed in bracket A?
Ah,
AA,
Okay.
A1, not A2.
I got you. So Scalp, X Factor, Heat, and Legion.
I'm ready.
Yeah. All right. Give it to me, SK.
So Red Legion first,
Okay.
X Factor second,
Okay.
Scalp third, and Heat fourth.
Wow.
Okay.
I'll go next.
All right.
I'm gonna say X Factor first, Legion second, Scalp third, Heat fourth.
Okay.
I guess that's me, huh? The Gambler. We're gonna go
Yeah.
Heat, Russians, X Factor, and Scout. I gotta go different than you guys, and why not?
Heat.
Let's go.
Say it one more time. Heat, Legion,
X Factor, Scalp.
X Factor, Scalp. Okay. I'm gonna go Legion, Scalp, X.
What? You're not even going to pick yourself?
X Factor.
Jeez.
Yeah, I am.
He
X
is.
Factor, Heat. Oh no,
Oh
I
my
gotta mix
gosh.
that up. Damn it. Shit, I don't want to be that close to everybody. Oh, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah, this is tiebreaker.
And
Okay.
you've already
So
picked
whoever's the
different than-
closest.
Yeah.
So if
You've
you
already
get
picked
2 and 4,
Well, yeah. Well, we
That's
can
2
rate
points.
it. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, when I get 1 and 3 and Shane gets 2 and 4, I win because I got 1 and 3, which is better than
Yeah.
2 and 4.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You still have to wear Iron Man.
No, I
gear.
agree.
don't care.
I say
You
yes.
wear an
That's
Iron Man
we'll work
Yeah.
on that.
Yeah.
I say we can work from that.
I'm gonna win it all anyways. I'm gonna come from behind.
Yeah.
Don't worry about it.
I love it. I love your attitude. So
Yeah.
so Ryan, you picked Legion first, Scalp second.
X Factor third, Heat fourth.
Got it.
So when he comes out and wins this bracket, I win.
Which
So
again, really,
Right.
I want to put X Factor first, but I also want to be different than Mike.
Okay.
So like, it's not really the way I think it's going to go. I'm playing the
Oh.
odds. I'm just
Right.
playing odds.
It's okay. Yeah.
Hey, Chris Kurtz, that doesn't work. Shane's already there. So
Yeah, Chris, I'm there too, pal.
yeah.
What do you mean
yeah.
shaved heads? My head is them. I shave every 3 days.
That's right.
He's gone. Lost
Yeah,
that
whoever
fight
the
at all.
winner is gets to decide whatever the thing is that we're all
Right.
going to do.
Right.
All right, so there's one other bracket we got to talk about. So armed forces game.
Ah.
We have Army, Air Force, Navy, Marines. I'm coaching the Marines.
I'm coaching the Army.
Yeah.
I'm coaching Air
And-
Force.
Can you?
Yep.
I'm coaching the Navy. Can you show the picture, Ryan?
No.
No.
Oh,
No, he
man.
seems to have
You
lost
texted it
SK.
to me.
Oh, he
not
lost
emailed
it. Oh, okay.
No, I have it.
Okay.
Yeah.
I know it. So Shane, I won that with the Navy last year, and they put your name on the trophy, like that.
My name?
that you're yeah.
If you win,
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's
So
pretty cool.
my my name will be on the trophy then, is what you're telling me.
That's the goal.
So
Hey,
Friday and Saturday from 12 to 1 during the lunch break of the Pro Division will be the Armed Forces games, and the four of us will be coaching those teams. And we're just so honored that Chris Rangel has asked us to do it. And we could not be more proud of the opportunity to go and help those vets try to have a shitload of fun. So, and we're also going to have a ton of fun. So the Marines are going to win by a lot. It's not even going to be close. So my name on the trophy.
And you know something, if the Marines win, man, I'll be happy and proud for you and those Marines. So, but when the Army
I'll let them know that.
let's just be ready for, that type of, we're all winners technically, right?
That's right.
We've got
Chris.
these incredible,
Guys.
I
didn't know that.
Yeah, sideline coaching, everything. Like it is a full on. It's super fun. Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Yeah.
That changes.
That didn't happen last year. I love
that.
No.
It's
going to be. It's kind of like Wheels Off, as old school as it can be, without doing the two halves and all the paint and all that.
I do know it's no mercy, right? There's no mercy rule.
Yeah, there's none of that.
No mercy.
There's no mercy.
Yeah.
Uncapped true semi. You're getting silly.
Yeah. Now we're.
Yeah. So again, Friday at noon, Saturday at noon. It will be on Go Sports. If you're at the event, make sure to come over, support the vets. You can bring your cooler over, sit right down in the stands, sideline coach, have a shitload of fun, support these guys that have, supported us in many, many ways that we can never repay. So
yeah, and
it'll be a good time.
It was a really good match last time too. I think Mike, you said you did that.
I got to commentate it with Matty Marshall and Ryan Sator, and it was so much fun.
I was more stressed out in that match than in the finals. Because it's way worse. Because I don't know.
Well, so a couple things too about World Cup. So it is shaping up to be the largest event ever in history of paintball. It's we're ahead of last year. Won't really know the answer if it is going to be the biggest until next week after the final cut. Or I guess that's the end of this week. But yeah, shaping up to be the largest event again ever in the history of paintball, which has been the trim we've been on all year. So big congratulations to Tom and all of his crew. Looks like all the shit they're doing is working, in a terrible economy. Paintball continues to grow at the national level. So a lot of good things happening. So huge vendor things happening. I know Hormesis is not only doing a party, but they're also debuting a new movie documentary. I think following around Meter, I think, is in it. Tyler Harmon, maybe. I've seen a few little clips. Looks like it's going to be pretty interesting. I don't remember what night that's happening, but a lot of activity in the Hormesis booth. Make sure you get over there and check it out. Always a line out the door. So kind of plan your day around spending a lot of time kind of waiting in the line to get into that place, because there's a lot going on all the time over there. More vendors more vendors than I've seen at a World Cup at any event in many, many years. It's kind of the nostalgia of old World Cups when you showed up and there were just, vendors kind of everywhere. I do think we may have more vendors than ever too, because, back in the day, remember, everybody had those stupid trucks. And so it looked like there was a lot going on, but really there were like 10 companies there because it was just massive trucks everywhere. So
they were great trucks. They were the greatest trucks, but there was only 10 of them.
Yeah, they were really pretty and stupid and foolish. And I only say that because I had to set them up for 10 years and tear them down. So yeah, they were terribly
that
lame.
changes things.
It does. Yeah, it's awful. So, and again, make sure to be supporting Hertz. Just rented from Hertz last weekend. I was in the Northeast, rented from Hertz, had a great experience, made sure I did it on my account so they can see Major League Paintball people are taking advantage of that. So big deal. Make sure to take care of the sponsors, take care of us. And I hear there's some new ones that we may hear about, maybe even at World Cup. We'll see. The NXL 2025 NXL schedule will be out hopefully the week of World Cup. I keep hearing maybe Tuesday before, but I know that there are 3 venues for sure that are locked down, one more that they're trying to get ink on, and then one more that's like right at the end where they're finalizing contracts. So hopefully we will have that schedule to release to you guys. Hopefully Tuesday before World Cup. We'll see. Anything else, men? You guys want to share? Where's everybody? SK, where are you guys practicing this weekend?
In San Antonio.
Going to X Factor. Nice. That'll be a good workout.
Yeah.
Bianca?
We will be at LAX with Notorious.
No. Who's coming? We know everybody on Earth who's listening to the
knows
show
that we don't leave, right?
Where you're playing.
We'll be Notorious.
Yeah. So you guys have Notorious. All right. That should be fun. I think I already said it. We'll be at Tiki's. Shane will be at Tiki's. It's going to be a ton of teams there. I think we're playing the Russians, the Tauntauns. A lot of teams. Kings, I think, are at Legacy.
Oh, okay.
But I don't remember who they're with.
No, Kings are going to get in with us, is what I was told this week.
Well, so I heard that, but then when I saw the schedule, I didn't see them on it.
But we're probably not going to play each other, but we'll figure it out. You know,
they can come play us.
Yeah. There's going to be so many teams there. It'll be. I think NYX is getting in with you guys also, right? It's what Jerry.
I didn't hear that.
Well, that's what Jerry told me. But we're out here on the West Coast, we don't know everything. So
that's true.
Yeah.
Well,
and Rainey's on damage.
Rainey is on damage for sure. Yeah, well, if you guys love paintball, this is a kick-ass weekend. Teams are going to be all over the place preparing. So if you're down around San Antonio X Factor, get down there, watch Dynasty X Factor. Who else is with you guys?
I can't remember. I should remember that, but I don't remember. You go on. I'll find it.
Okay. If you're around LAX in Louisiana, make sure head over there, check out Austin Notorious and the Hurricanes. And again, if you're around Florida, going to be a ton happening at Tiki's and out at Legacy Sports Park. So get out to one of those places, check it out. I think also several semi-pro teams and WNXL teams I know will be there's going to be a couple at Fit, I believe. There's going to be a couple at Legacy. So yeah, make sure to get out, check it out. It's going to be a lot of paintball this weekend. Should be a lot of fun.
Impact.
There you go. Yeah. So that's, 3 really good teams. That should be a shitload of fun.
Yeah, that should be good.
That's an easy team to forget there, SK. I mean,
well, when guys keep quitting my team and going to that team, I forget their name.
Yeah. So. Pretty much. Yeah, that makes sense. Yep. Yeah.
Seems like it would be easier for you to remember.
No. Just you block that out.
Yeah. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for watching this episode of the Coaches Show. Thank you to Coaches Shane Pestana, Kevin Bredthauer for joining us tonight. Major League Paintball for all the support of the show. Darren Cessna, Alex Sorensen, Kevin Fillers, Tom Cole. Thank you so much. If you want to elevate your game, possibly play for Team USA, get the best knowledge in paintball at bkipaintball.com. Make sure to check out the Combines and Summer Camp. If you're looking for new gear for 2025, make sure to go by and check out the Max booth. Talk to Charles when you're at World Cup, and he'll get you set up for 2025. Get true custom work for all soft goods, including jerseys, pants, tech tees, hats. I am hearing packs and pads as well. So make sure to get over and check out the Max booth. With Mike Bianca, Shane Pestana, Kevin Bredthauer, I'm Ryan Gray. Be responsible.